everyone, welcome back to Searched Up with Sienna Spotlight, where I chat with creative, fun, and talented people in and around pop culture. Today, I am joined by Lena Kristy, founder of Jamagansett. They have the most amazing homemade jams that you will ever taste. And they're made from fresh, organic ingredients from local farms. They have unique, amazing flavors like chocolate raspberry, vanilla raspberry, strawberry lime, and also some specialty ones made from vegetables like onions. I talked with Lena about how she came up with the idea to start Jamagansett, her products, and what's next. And now, without further ado, here's my interview with Lena Kristy. So, before we get into the jam, I wanted to talk about your background and like how Jamagansett came to be. I'm pretty sure I was doing my research, and I'm pretty sure you grew up in California. Is that right? Um,
Yeah,
when you were growing up, did you have like any idea of what you wanted to do when, like after college and when you grew up?
great question. I would say that I've always been very entrepreneurial. I grew up right outside of San Francisco. It's called Marin County. So there was just like a big culture around food and farms and going to farmers markets on weekends. And I just like loved learning about where my food was from. Every play date or sleepover I had, we baked something or like created something. Like I've always just been a very creative person. I've also always been involved in the arts. I grew up as a dancer and then I was a singer in a band. And I went to UCLA and I was focused on arts education and arts activism. And my major was called World Arts and Cultures, but I was still very much ingrained in the food world and wanting to explore that in some capacity. And so I found a culinary school back in San Francisco during undergrad. That was just 6 months. And I thought, okay, this might be the perfect way for me to really immerse myself in the food world and get clear on what I want to do with my life. Um, and yeah, still be able to explore and like still be in a school environment. And so I went to a great culinary school called San Francisco Cooking School. Unfortunately, it closed during the pandemic. Um, but it was so cool because I finally got to be in a kitchen every day, like working with my hands, working a lot of meeting a lot of chefs, working with chefs, going to like Point Reyes one day to forage for mushrooms and just like
Oh, that's
really
so
getting
cool.
into the weeds, like understanding where my food was coming from. I would say that like everything has been iterative for me in terms of like where I've gone in my life. I've very much followed my passions, like getting really involved in dancing and then singing and then food. And I think it's a cool way to do things rather than being like, here's the path and I'm just gonna follow this path and see what happens. I've gotten to like try out different things here and there. But was so interested in food, but being a chef is really hard. And I wound up instead of like joining a restaurant, joining a food startup. And so being able to be on like more of the business side of things. And I think that allowed me insight into what I really wanted to do with my life and like launching a food product myself one day. So it was like my first real job out of college and gave me a lot of experience in food products so that I could eventually one day do one myself.
I'm very similar. I love singing, dancing, and I like to cook too. So,
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like it's cool in life how things are very circular. Like I
Yeah,
used to cook and all this stuff and then I was working at Sephora in marketing, and I'm like, what
that's
about those
cool.
times I was interested in food? But now I use a lot of the marketing knowledge,
Yeah,
this,
definitely.
and it all comes back. And I think also so my first entrepreneurial experience was starting a camp, which I called Camp
Oh,
Lena, which is
oh,
funny
that's so
afterwards as
cool.
well. But I brought together neighborhood girls and would teach cooking lessons and dance lessons
That's
and
so
we
cool.
would do bake sales and all this stuff and I think I just loved being responsible for everything and being the boss and like being in charge and I think that's just another thing that I always knew I wanted to like start something myself again so that I could be in that position
Yeah,
again.
definitely. And so you mentioned you went to UCLA for undergrad. What was your experience like there? Did you have like did you enjoy it while you were there?
UCLA was interesting for me. I was just talking about this with a friend. I was coming from this very artsy small high school in Northern California, and then UCLA was like huge and everyone's into sports, and I was in this tiny arts major there. And so I think I saw a lot of different kind of like types of people and different groups. And I think I I wound up graduating in 3 years because I found this culinary school I wanted to do kind of as my senior year. No, it was great though, and like amazing school. I loved my small classes. I also minored in film, and I'm obsessed with documentary film, so I focused a lot on that. And yeah, I loved my classes. I loved my major, and cool to live in LA and say that I've lived in LA.
Yeah.
And it ultimately took me into the food path. So I'm really grateful that I was able to really explore that passion and move back to San Francisco and do this program. And so I feel like everything has kind of worked as it was meant to.
Yeah, 100%. And what inspired you to get your MBA at Columbia in New York City?
Yeah. So after UCLA, I went to culinary school. Then I worked at Thistle, which was a meal delivery startup in the Bay Area for 2.5 years. And I think so Thistle was really pivotal because I got to try out many different areas of the business. I worked on the ops side when I joined. I got to move into marketing.
Oh, cool.
It was cool just to see this like small business growing really fast and be able to tap into different areas and see what was most interesting to me. And I found kind of a natural home on the marketing team that it had that nice balance of being creative and coming up with new content, writing emails, blog posts, all of this, but also being like really quantitative and looking at the data, what's working, and kind of finding a middle ground between the two. But I thought, okay, I need to go work at a big company. I need that legitimate marketing experience. So I got a job at Sephora for 2.5 years working in marketing there. And what was cool about Sephora is I got to work on really big teams and see how a really big business functions, and you have way bigger budgets and you're figuring out how to allocate them across
Yeah.
different products and different campaigns. And um, during that time I was like, okay, I'm now getting a lot of marketing experience, and I've now worked in marketing across different industries. But am I sure that this is what I want to do? Do I want to do retail marketing? Do I want to do consumer product marketing? And so I started to look around me at the company and see, okay, who's in the higher positions and
Yeah.
who like has been able to have a really strong career. And a lot of them had gone and gotten their MBA. And so I think it was a matter of how can I get the experience I need to do what I want? And then how can I also get more knowledge so that I'm not getting like pigeonholed too early?
Yeah.
So that was a big part. And then I think also like I always wanted to launch my own company. And so it felt like, okay, getting an MBA would help me learn the tools to do that and maybe be in a network that can help me do that. And so I went to Columbia. That was a long, long way to say that was
No,
the
no, I love it.
and um I think I also really wanted to move to New York at some point. Like my parents both um had like their 20s in New York City, and my dad was transferred to San Francisco for work, but we have family here, and I always saw myself moving to New York but didn't know how or why. And applying to Columbia like gave me a reason to, and gave me then like a group of friends through school and
Yeah.
more of a network here. And I was able to apply during COVID into their January start program. So you actually do a year and a half instead of 2 years. And so I took school through the summer and caught up with the second years in the fall. And it was an amazing experience. I loved it. I met so many people from so many different countries and backgrounds, and learned a ton about business. I had never taken a business class before because I majored in the arts. So I genuinely learned a lot. I think a lot of people talk about business school like it's just for networking, but there's a lot of really interesting classes and professors, and um, it was a really great experience. I'm so happy I came to New York.
Now kind of making our way towards the whole point, the jam. How did you land in the Hamptons? I mean, I know you just mentioned that you found yourself in Columbia, but how did you get to the Hamptons area after that?
Yeah. So kind of a long story. So I graduated from Columbia. I joined McKinsey, which is a consulting firm. And McKinsey, the choice to go to McKinsey was again to just like broaden my knowledge more across different industries and across different functions and work with really smart people. But when I found myself at McKinsey, it felt like the really corporate environment, maybe that Sephora felt like,
Yeah.
that I knew still wasn't really my like end all be all. Like
Yeah.
I think I'm very scrappy and I can make things happen. I'm very creative, and I think corporate life can be like that, but it
Yeah.
also can be a bit more structured, and there are more politics, and there's just other elements at play that I think aren't my strengths. They might be other people's strengths. And so I was at McKinsey thinking about, okay, I'm back to where I kind of was before business school. And the point of business school was to get closer to what I want to do. So maybe now is actually the time to start thinking about launching my own food brand and being a founder and doing what I had always wanted to do. And kind of in tandem with that, I was going out to Jamagansett and the Hamptons, and it was kind of this natural place to go outside of the city that felt
Yeah.
like where I grew up, at like being closer to farms and like knowing where your food comes from and all the things that I really
Yeah.
like, Marin and wine country and where I grew up. And so I also met like an investor business partner during this time with more roots in Amagansett. And so we started talking, and I had always wanted to start this food product. Started recipe testing with jams and using produce that was local to the area, and felt like this could be a really cool product to like highlight the area and highlight all of the amazing farms and all of the amazing produce, and bring it to life in like a CPG product.
Yeah.
Um, and just being like really inspired by the area and how beautiful it is, and to kind of like take that I was seeing and bring it to life in a product that could go nationwide and like introduce other people to this amazing place. So it kind of came from there. And so that was last, what is it? It's August. That all started kind of last June. And
Wow, it's crazy.
since then it was like, I mean, I had it all, but just like recipe testing. And we launched a test kitchen last October to like get recipes out there and start getting feedback. And then an official launch this past April. And then, yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind ever since.
Crazy. Wow. And so you that's how you landed in the Hamptons, but then you said you were like testing with like local produce and stuff. What
Yeah.
like, inspired you to do like jam as the product? What was like what do you have did you like love jam growing up, or was there like just
Yeah.
like the fresh like fruit and stuff?
So that was like a big part, was that angle where it was something that spoke to me as like a tool for my creativity. Like there is this product that's kind of like been around for a long time, and you can make it what you want to make it. And that's why I've come up with like strawberry lime and vanilla raspberry. Like how can I put
Yeah.
flavors I grew up baking with into a product to sell to people? So I think it was that, but then it was also like the very business lens, which is that there are a ton of jam companies, and there are a ton of jam companies that have been around for a while, but I didn't see that many that are like cool jam and differentiated, and not just for your PB&J, but like you'd want to bring it as a gift, or you'd want to mix it into a cocktail. Like it felt like a product that I could do something new and interesting with, and bring some of this like marketing and branding knowledge from past jobs
Mhm.
to a product that maybe is like ripe for not disruption, but just like some
Yeah,
fun,
no, yeah.
little branding thrown in.
Yeah, well, I think that's, I mean, why I love the jam so much is like, I mean, the flavors are like so interesting and like flavors I've never seen. But I feel like with jam sometimes, like, obviously it's meant to be sweet. But what I like about this one is like, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, like that was so much sugar after. Like, it still feels very fresh and stuff, which is, I think, what makes it like so much better than all the like others that are like in your local grocery store.
Yeah, that was, and I haven't talked about that at all yet, but like lower sugar is huge for me. Like I'm all about everyday indulgences and dessert. Like my family is like a huge dessert family. Like we
Uh-huh.
debate, would you rather give up alcohol or dessert? And we're like, alcohol for sure. We could never give up dessert. But you like still don't want it to be so sickeningly sweet where you
Yeah.
feel bad after. And so that's what I'm trying to do with the jam too, is like bring that everyday joy to people, but not be harming them at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And for the name Jamagansett, now I know like obviously that's in the Hamptons area, but and you mentioned that you went to Amagansett, but how did that like name come about? Like why not like it's very catchy, so it makes sense. I'm glad that like that's the name, but like why not something with like East Hampton or Montauk? Was there like a story behind the name of it?
Yeah, so the name, I know it's like a funny pun. Jamagansett was more like my business partner being connected to the town and like that is where he lives and wanting to have a store there on Main Street, which we're actually working on right now to open next
So
summer.
cool. Oh
And
wow.
so
I'm
it's
gonna have
like,
to come back out then.
yes, you have to. I know, I feel like a year from now we're gonna have more, even more to talk about. Yeah, it was really like a matter of um me going there. I also think like kind of like the brand identity lies there with going to like Balsam Farms and Amber Waves and um feeling like if you go into the identities of all the different Hamptons towns, like they are all very different. And I think Amagansett
Definitely.
is like very focused on that authentic like
Yeah.
connection to farming and food, and it felt really important for our brand ethos, and so it felt like this is the town to do this. So it was kind of confounding factors, I would say.
Yeah,
But now like after this summer it just feels like this is the brand's home. Like it just a lot of things came together. I just think there's like a deep history there around
definitely.
farming and like a dedication by the town to like really honor that. And it's just something like I feel really strongly about as well. So I think it's very aligned.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean the produce there is like amazing because we when we're there too, like my mom is like a big like very like we have like a healthy household too. But when we go out, we always like come home with like bags and bags of like fruit and like food from Round Swamp Farm because like those are like it's like the fruit out there and like the food is like so much it just like tastes like so much fresher. It's like it's amazing.
As it is. And like I think it's this movement towards being more local and really knowing where your food comes from. And I think it's something we can take like nationwide. I just think like there's something really good for the earth about it, but also like good for our souls. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a cool movement to be a part of.
100%. And you mentioned like how a lot of the flavors came from like stuff in your household. How do you think of the flavors though? And like are you constantly like trying to change them or do you have like just like those like few set in stone?
So the reason I only have four on the website is because I'm like shipping them myself and it's just like
Yeah,
complicated the more flavors
complicated.
you have. But that's been the most fun part for me by far is like coming up with ideas and they kind of just like come to me very quickly. I'm like, because I like going to the farmer's market, I would always get this like limeade, and I was just thinking about like that really like tangy limey flavor and how we would couple that with a berry, and like the strawberry lime was born, and the salty blueberry, can't even
Yeah,
remember,
that
but
one I haven't tried either.
okay, okay, I need to send you some. The salty blueberry, it's like I love balance and but I love like really strong flavors at the same time, and so
Uh,
thinking about like creating an explosion in your mouth. So it's like not too sweet, not too
yeah, yeah,
tangy. Like, whoa, that's like unlike anything I've tasted, or it reminds me of something. Like someone tasted the vanilla raspberry recently and they were like, this reminds me of the inside of a donut, like a donut filling. Like,
yeah,
oh, it totally is that. That's
yeah.
probably where it came from. I'm right now, tomorrow, making a burnt peach. So it's
Ooh, that
again like
sounds
a little
really good.
bitterness. Yeah, from like if you were to
Yeah.
burn peaches, but then peaches are extremely sweet. Um, yeah, I think the chocolate again was like, how can I do something new and creative that I haven't seen before? And I think
That
that's
one, yeah, that one's so good because it's like the tiniest, like you could taste the chocolate. Like it's not like you're like tasting it and you're like, I don't taste any chocolate, but it's not like, oh my gosh, like this is like tastes like I'm eating like straight Nutella or something right now. Like that's
totally.
yeah, it's like and I
Um,
personally like dark chocolate better than milk chocolate. And it's like definitely has that more of like a dark chocolate flavor, which is like
yeah. I would say, yeah, it's like finding the balance and yeah, again, just like bringing like joy how I can. I don't know. That,
I remember when I came this summer too. There was like I think you were giving out like mini ones too of like I think the flavor I think I still have is like blackberry maybe it was like
yeah.
tart blackberry or something like that.
We
That
did
yeah.
blackberry with Rosie's because Rosie's was the reason we worked together is that they happened to be launching an Irish scone. And I think like this is the other cool thing about Amagansett. Maybe this is what I was gonna say, but there's like a ton of women business owners, which is
Yeah.
really like most of the businesses on that block are like founded by women, which is really cool. And just like this willingness to work together and collaborate and talk, like um we started talking to Rosie's. They're like, we're launching this scone. We're like, oh, we could put our jam with the scone. And then they're
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
well, like we tried your jams. We really like it with blackberry jam. Could you make a better blackberry jam? And I'm like, definitely. Like let's get less sweet and a little more tart, add more lemon juice and maybe not blend it as much so you get like more whole pieces of fruit.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that's what we partnered with them on. And then it was kind of this natural, like, let's sample in your patio and let's talk to people and tell them
Yeah,
about the
that's
stones and tell them about the jam. And it's been, yeah, I love the like iterative nature of this summer where it's like we didn't know what the summer would hold. And then lots of stuff just happened organically,
yeah.
which is cool.
And so you mentioned like this is like you work with a few other people for your business, but how are like the jams made? I mean, I'm sure you're like sending out like hundreds and packing hundreds to like sell in front of Rosie's and stuff and at farmers markets. So how is like are you mass producing
Yeah.
these jams?
So when I was first recipe testing, okay, so last October, I was like, okay, I know the high season is going to be this summer. We need to be ready in Amagansett then, but let's figure out how we're producing now so that we're not like, we don't know, so we actually know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So in October, I was in the city and got connected with a commercial kitchen out in Long Island City called Tiny Drumsticks. And they're really great because they're like kind of like a food community. There are just so many food communities everywhere, but they really like help small businesses get off the ground and start running and have a lot of like great other cooks in the kitchen that you can call on and use for your production. And so I thought, okay, this is like a great place to launch this test kitchen, start just like, yeah, like mass producing jams.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was planning on moving operations to Amagansett or like East Hampton for the summer, but I've built such a great community in Long Island City that I've kind of been, this is where like early days of a startup, I think don't really make sense, but I've been getting produce and driving it to Long
Oh,
Island
wow.
City and producing in the city and then going back on weekends. So it's been a really exhausting summer to say the least. Um, I'm so grateful for these like chefs that I've been working with. And so
Yeah.
like one production day, it's changed. So in October, I didn't want to have to pay for storage within the kitchen because it was expensive. I got a
Uh-huh.
storage unit nearby, and my production day was I get a zip car near my apartment. I drive out to the storage unit. I load up on empty jars and lids and all the like materials that I have, like tools for the kitchen.
Yeah.
Drive to the kitchen, unload, have the produce there, cook everything, fill the jars, take the jars back to the storage unit or to the office I've been working out of, and then packing orders out of there. And so it's been very intensive. my muscles have grown. From lifting jam. Since then, now I have a storage unit in the kitchen so I can like ship everything directly.
Oh,
And then like tomorrow I'm going in and we'll make all of the burnt peach jam together. But it also gives me the opportunity to not have to go in for every production day, which is amazing. So now I have a team for days where I can't be there that can like manage on their own, have all the jars, the produce, everything's there, and then they just cook the jams themselves. So that's where we are right now.
yeah.
Um, but it's hard. Like, you have to
I can
hire
imagine.
a lot of people and train them and just like ordering sugar and oh now we're out of sugar and we're producing tomorrow. Just like these things that come up, you have to be so organized. So I am thinking about like the next phase of the business and um if we'll expand in this kitchen versus going into another one. Like a lot of food businesses actually use co-manufacturers where they make their recipes for them. But then you don't have control
Yeah.
over actually being made. So there's just like a ton of trade-offs.
That kind of leads me to my next question. So like in the summer, I feel like in like even like late spring, there's so much like tourists and like attraction in the Hamptons. So I feel like it's a lot easier to promote the business there. But in like the colder months and like the winter, how do you promote the business still?
Mhm. This is the crux of the question right now. You're asking amazing questions.
Thank you.
I would say there are a few different like routes that we can go that we're exploring. The first is like trying to just become an online business in the
Mhm.
off season. So running ads on Instagram, like
Yeah.
uh, creating better gift boxes. So for the holidays, people are like, oh, I'm going to ship these like 5 custom jams to my friend for a present or um like corporate gifting or weddings. Like there are a lot of avenues outside of the Hamptons other than online and like gifting like that. I'm thinking about just like expanding into retail and trying to start with some regional small grocery stores that will take us on so we can expand at a pace we can keep up with and like learn a lot from customers. Because like I think a lot of people who are in the Hamptons in the summer then are in the city, or the tri-state area after the summer. So it's like if
Oh,
they
yeah.
heard about us, then we want to be in front of them when they're back, though that is in like 2 weeks. So got working on that. Um, so I
I mean,
think
yeah, I feel like I could definitely see like the jam in like around Swamp Farm, like is like my first thought too. Like I could see it like right there on the shelves, and even
yeah,
in other like New York City stores, definitely.
exactly. Like we got into a few stores out east this summer. We were in like Amber Waves and Sagaponic General Store was like a big buzzy store this summer and like being there was really great. And we've been at some farm stands. So like there's definitely legs there. I think it's just like when you go the retail route, you have to invest in more inventory up front to sell them bigger quantities and like it's a little less flexible.
Yeah.
Um, but it is something that we need to figure out.
And a couple like fun questions. So, what is your favorite jam that you have right now, or the one or, like that you've made in the past,
Okay, favorite jam I've made.
or like top two if you can't
No,
decide?
no, no. Okay, I'll pick a savory and a sweet. So I did a caramelized onion balsamic,
Ooh, that
which I can send you to that.
sounds
I
delicious.
don't know why. I mean, I think it was just like wanting to um it really came down to like wanting to partner more with farms in Amagansett, and a lot of farms in Amagansett grow vegetables. They don't grow fruit. I think
Yeah.
more fruit is like even on the North Fork or just not in that town specifically. And so or nearby. So we partnered with this amazing farm called Share the Harvest, which is a nonprofit farm in East Hampton. They donate like 80-90% of their produce to food pantries, which is really cool in the area. And they had a ton of onions. And so it was like, okay, what can we make with the onions? So again, it's like I love making flavors based on what we can partner on and what's
Yeah.
available. And so that one's been like it's great on a burger, like in a sandwich with cheese and
Yeah.
crackers. Like it's really good. So that'd probably be my favorite. And then the vanilla raspberries,
Yeah.
definitely my favorite. I mean, raspberry jam was always my favorite growing up, and that's why I've done so many raspberry flavors. And vanilla is like the most comforting flavor to me. Like every dessert I
Yeah,
grew
yeah,
up with has vanilla in it. It just felt like my primary flavor, like salt and pepper. Like you always have vanilla.
yeah.
I thought, let's combine these and see how it tastes.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you're working on a burnt peach right now, but is there like if you could like think of like I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like if there was like a jam in the future that you would make that's like very unique, like maybe like one sweet, one savory, what would it be?
Hmm. Okay, I've heard from like I'd say the two flavors that people have asked for the most are apricot and fig.
Oh
And
yeah. That's good.
I think that because Jamagansett is placed as this like elevated jam that you'd want with a charcuterie board, or like
Yeah.
you're not just gonna waste it on your PB&J. I mean, you can, but
Yeah.
I think like going in the direction of jams that you would want on a cheese board, like apricot, like
Yeah.
another one actually I'm working on is sour cherry, which I really like. I
Oh,
mean, I love
yeah.
like sour and
Yeah,
acidic
that's really
flavors. So okay, those were three, but those are
good.
probably
No, those sound really good. And then my last question is, do you think there would ever be like anything, obviously right now it's jams, but would you ever like extend your line of products? Like, have you ever thought about that? And like, what are some things you would think of selling with the jams?
yeah, I've thought about that a lot. I think that jam is a really cool category because it can be put on a lot of things and then
Yeah,
those can turn
definitely.
into products. So thought about, I know this is big around Swamp, but like if we have a store having pies or having
Oh yeah.
cookies jam, I think there are like companies that are doing like elevated uncrustables, like something like
Oh
that
yeah.
could be cool in the future. So it's like all of those products could be really cool. But then there's also an avenue that I'm thinking about, which is like fragrances, candles.
Oh,
Like
that's like, oh,
we
candles.
go more,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like jam scented candle. If we go the more lifestyle route, something I haven't mentioned is I really wanted to do ceramic jars jam. There's this brand
oh yeah.
1800s in Scotland called Dundee Marmalade. And it's like these really beautiful ceramic jars, and you can turn it into a vase, or like it's very giftable and beautiful. And I actually made like 1500 ceramic jars thinking I'd be able to preserve it properly. And they're very beautiful. But the cork and like the lids that I've been exploring, like it just doesn't preserve for a year in the way that a glass jar does. So that's just another thing potentially on the horizon if I can figure it out, is like a jar that's really differentiated and cool, and like it could even be a tin jar or just something different like than your classic glass, and it just makes it that much more unique and giftable. So yeah, definitely exploring new routes to go. And I think something that will inform that is, are we going to sell online versus in stores? Because I think like then that kind of changes what types of things we're selling. Like if we're online, maybe we can do like candles, fragrances, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I'm also making some new merch.
Oh,
With
yeah, I have the
yeah,
hat.
we're gonna do like tea towels and
Oh, that's
like
so cool. Yeah.
yeah, maybe like a bandana type of thing, like
Oh
some fun.
yeah.
Like I'm all about making like we're not taking ourselves too seriously, trying to make
Yeah.
really quality products that taste amazing and have it be premium, but also playful and like fun, and it's just jam and it's cool. And so matching whatever products we do launch with that ethos.
Well, I feel
Um,
like it would be cool too. It's like I just like love it. It's like coming to my mind. Like I feel like a lot of places do like if like you were saying with making like the ceramic jars if like a lot of places do like bring your own like this and you can get like half off. Like I feel like that'd be cool if you're like, "Oh, bring your own like ceramic jam and we'll like put some in and like you get like 20% off for that." Like it's like I feel like that's such a cool
or
idea. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. And like the more we can be sustainable and like reuse the jars. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
I think, and this is the end of the day why I wanted to do this too. Like, there's just, it's like when you think jam, you're like, oh, what if you do this? Or have you thought
Yeah.
about There's just like a lot of ideas, which maybe sometimes is also tough because you're like ideas overload, like what can I actually do? But it's just like a fun mental exercise every day to be like thinking of a new thing related to jam. I mean, I joke, but jam has become my whole personality, and I do only really think about jam now, and every waking hour it's on my mind. So that's another big thing with entrepreneurship I've learned a lot about is like this becomes your life, whatever you
Yeah.
decide do for however long you're doing it, which is a commitment for sure. So,
But well, I want to thank you so much for doing this. This is like an amazing company and you're so amazing and I'm so happy I got to talk to you today and learn all about your story behind Jamagansett and before that even.
no, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me again. I'm in such like profound company. I was honored, and um I never get to do stuff like this. So this is special for me too. I hope it's interesting for somebody.
It was very, no, this was very interesting. Definitely for me. I'm sure it will be for others too.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Oh, yay. So fun.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Lena, for taking the time to talk to me about your process and your plans for the future. Well, that's it for today. See you next time for more on Spotlight.